My name is CJ Cody, and my special topic presentation is about young adults leaving home in the early adulthood stage. Early adulthood overview. Pretty much the development task and the overview of the early adulthood stage pretty much consists of marriage, childbearing, and work. A lot of people during this stage, they want to have a good job. They want to balance their life out with a good job, and eventually have marriage with the person they're trying to seek and love. Then eventually have kids and start their own family. Psychosocial crisis. Erickson's intimacy versus isolation is the type of crisis that's going along with this stage. The stage consists of, you know, can I love? And that's the question I ask is, can I love? A lot of companions, they want to find that love with their other. Um, they want to seek that love. They want to go through, lifetime memories with their friends. They want to be accepted by their friends or their significant other. They want marriage eventually as they age throughout life. They want to be. They don't want to be neglected. They feel like they can't be loved or married. That increases, being neglected and isolation to come to place. So by them being loved, makes their life feel better about makes them feel better about themselves in their life, knowing that they found someone that's gonna love them the same way they love them, love the other person. Each young male and female, they experience the psychosocial crisis of development dealing with intimacy versus isolation. So the ego quality is love. Uh, Mutually with peers is something that everybody wants. Mutuality, I meant to say. They want to have that good mentality, connection with each other. They want to love exclusively. Um, they don't like being rejected because that causes pain. And majority of the time, our ego, especially at this stage, can't handle the hurt and the pain that they're suffering from not being loved by someone. Once young adults find themselves, they'll be pretty much ready for a long time commitment with that other person, either if that's with a friendship or leading to a marriage. Young adults leaving home is an issue that's going along with this stage. Why? Many individuals want to move out of their parents' home so they can show their independence. By starting their own lives with their future partners. Uh, Independency. Anyone around this age or stage, they want to be independent. They want to be on their own. They want to show that they can do whatever they show that they can handle their own by being an adult. But they rather not rely on their mom and dad. It's like a pride thing. For males they want to show that they have a good sense of pride and that they can handle their own. And women, it's the same way. They want to have their pride and show that they're independent. They don't have to rely on a guy to or a man or a father figure to always come to rescue when they need help. The living arrangements. Living arrangements, it has a lot to do with the issue. Some kids and young adults who live in a single parent or two parent home uh, can cause the living arrangements to be an issue. For a single parent home, it's more likely to push a kid away from living at home compared to a two parent home. Single parent home versus married home. See, like for teens, like in their early 20s, who live in a cohabiting one parent household, they're normally it's normally going to be a high risk of death. Like, not saying they're going to end up killing themselves, but it's a high risk of that teen, going into isolation and not feeling that they're welcome and or loved by somebody, and that can be a factor of causing harm to the body. Thinking so psychologically, that can affect them the way that they think, and it causes them to do things that can harm the body. That's another way. Young adults living alone with a single parent, it can either be less educated less earning home highlights to the importance of late adolescence and early adulthood to be a critical period of emergent health inequalities. So that's an emerging issue that's going on right now, dealing with single parent households. So, but living in the married home, also will push a young adult to move away and start their own lives. But some, some people going through this stage will probably stay with their parents because some parents are overprotective of their kids and they want their kids to be safe and make the right decisions in their life. They don't want them to make a mistake. So their parents are very hard and make them want to do what they want them to do, like their ideas or their goals, instead of the kids going out on their own and seeking them and achieving them. Um, in the article, Living Arrangements and External Causes of Death in Early Adulthood, it shows individuals compared to living in parental homes with married parents. Those in living in a house in their late teens and early 20s, they have a high risk of external mortality among both sexes. There's 14% of young adults who live with their parents, and the other, are on their own or in a single household. Isolation, like I said, is a big issue going on with this. It comes along with a young adult can't find love. They're being rejected, and it causes them to not feel like they're loved or welcome or accepted. Isolation, it can make an adult do things that are not acceptable. Um, it causes them to harm their bodies. As I said before, they can start smoking, drinking, abusing drugs, and that affects their body, and that can lead to death. As I said before, because it's a high risk, and it causes them to think psychologically about things that it's not good for their health, and it is not good because nobody wants to be not loved, because that really hurts us emotionally. And I quoted here that loneliness has doubled. 40% of adults in two recent surveys, they said that being lonely up from like 20% in the 90s. So that's increased from like 20% and 40%. Like that's over up to now since the 80s, and that's kind of sad. How love affects intimacy and isolation. Not having that commitment, being lack of commitment is not good. It shows that the person doesn't really care about the other person, and by them not caring about the other person, that really affects us emotionally. Um, rejection, causes, like I said before, to be hurt too. Being let down, that's a major, another major cause that can affect us. Being not being married. A lot of women want to be married at 30 years old. Like if they're not married by 30 years or later, earlier, then that causes them to think like, what's going on in my life? Am I not being loved? And is something wrong with them? Is it something wrong with me, or what? Like it causes us to think about things, and it ends up harming us because we think about things and start doing things that's wrong, and that's not good for our health. And there's no intimacy. Some people may fall in love with that person, but eventually they may stop loving that person. Behavior change, that's based on the living arrangements. Individuals, their values and beliefs could be affected psychologically, based on the living arrangements in a family household. Non-family living arrangements and cohabitation impacts the changes in family formation attitudes at the individual level. The framework, theoretically focuses on the role of learning process and the cognitive consistency. Experience and duration of cohabiting arrangements have significant effects on family formation attitudes. And entering the early adulthood life, from later adolescence, shows that the individual is ready to move on and be independent, but really they're not quite ready yet. And with all that, to sum it up, you know, everybody wants to be independent, and everybody goes off of what their values and beliefs are. So what they learn at their home growing up. So they're gonna use those instincts and those those values and beliefs and that what that culture has taught them, and they're gonna use that to go off on their own and live. Uh, People who don't really have that much, you know, great culture, upbringing, causes them to make worse decisions than a parent, household, or cultural environment that taught them, good values and beliefs. A non-family living arrangement, like I said, it can make the individual attitudes differently based on how they was raised. The framework, theoretically, like I said, focus on what they're learning, the process of like how they're being upbrought in that culture, and that can also be a behavior change if their culture is not, teaching them the right way. They're like, say for example, parents are being too hard on their child, and their child wants to do this, but the parents are not letting that child do that, and it's not letting them be independent and let them, make their own decisions, and it forces that child to move out and want to do something else and go out there and, say for example, another example, live with her boyfriend instead of living in the household or going to school and living in a dorm. They rather live with their, not go to school or probably go to a community college and stay with their boyfriends, and that's not the right thing to do. That's, like I said, teens and early adults that are young adults who are trying to enter the stage. They are aware of what they want to do, but they're not quite ready yet. They think we think we are, but we're not. And my success story for this is getting a young adult to be patient about leaving home, and the things to make sure that young adult's ready to do is make sure they're ready. Make sure that are they quite ready to handle responsibilities like the money that would come with bills and the utilities they have to pay. It may catch them by surprise, and they may not know how to handle that when they get in debt, for example, because that's a big issue too. There are other problems like flatmate. There are issues with paying bills on time. Sharing like the housework equally with their spouse. Saying for example, if they want to live with a roommate or something like that, who's paying this and who's paying that can cause another issue. It's just the lifestyle. Are their lifestyles matching each other, and that can be disputing like hostility and arguments. But if they're ready to move out, just make sure they plan on budgeting well. Make sure their decision is rational and having family support, and to clear any negativity in the household before leaving. Because if that person is ready to move out, but you guys are following their plan as a parent, and have their back at all times, and also like trying to give them words of advice also while they make their own decision, and just loving them, that young adult will feel loved, and there will be no negativity in the household, and that child will know that they're more welcome to that back. They'll know that they're still welcome to their family, and they won't feel neglected or isolated. Is there references?